Hey guys. So today I thought I'd do something a little different here and just talk about the state of Canada and the US and the Western world in general. We definitely have a problem with the cost of living. It's pretty prevalent here in Canada now. I'm assuming my friends down in the States and all over are experiencing the same thing. So I just wanted to play a couple of video clips and we'll go through them and we'll do a little commentary, but we'll show you what's going on in Canada right now, and then we'll just have a little chit chat about it, guys.
What on earth is going on? One chicken for $44. How does anybody feed a family anymore? This is just your average sized chicken. Was it raised a Kardashian? Yeah, I had it in my cart to get a good picture. Then I put it back. I don't weigh things anymore. I go by mouthful. And this was $2.58. That's maybe 3 mouthfuls. $1.99 for green onions. Remember the good old days when these were 99 cents? $2.79. $2.58 for 2 tomatoes. I was having trouble staying on my diet till I saw the price of food.
Okay, guys. So this lady, obviously, I'm gonna say is probably from Alberta, which is a prairie province here in Canada. For people in the U.S. that don't know, so the co-op stores are prevalent out there. I'd say they're kind of like Canadian version of Walmart, just kind of something like that. Not as big, obviously. Um, Now our prices are not quite as high here in Ontario. I don't know why it would be $44 for a chicken there. That seems really insane, honestly. I think our local Walmart Metro here, you can buy the actual cooked chicken. They're not big. They're probably this big. Yeah, I'm gonna say the last time we looked, I'm gonna say it's under $10 anyways. That seems like a pretty big chicken. However, $44 for a chicken is insane. And yeah, like even the cucumber, like $3 for one cucumber, 250 for a couple tomatoes. Like it is honestly ridiculous. Here in Ontario, it's not as bad as many other provinces. I should say Southern Ontario because we're in the Golden Horseshoe here. So I think there's 14 million people within this little like 400 or 500 kilometer loop around Lake Ontario, which would be north of New York State and beside Michigan and stuff. So I know the last time I was out in Alberta visiting family, the prices, I was pretty shocked, and that was last summer compared to what we pay. But everything, I think they said groceries have gone up 38% since the pandemic, which I think is ridiculous. But we'll click on another little video here and I'll show you how the housing prices are going in Canada right now. I'm a real estate agent, a realtor, broker, whatever you want to call it. And I've watched the steady increase in these prices. And honestly, I don't know how the average person can afford, like if you're starting out buying a house now, if you don't have equity, I don't know how you can afford to buy. I really don't. But we'll check the next one and then we'll go over that.
This is what the average home price is expected to be in each Canadian province in 2024 from lowest to highest. These numbers are forecasted by Statista, so we'll see next year if they turn out to be true. Newfoundland's average home price is expected to rise to 325 grand. New Brunswick's to 330. Saskatchewan is expected to bump up to nearly 345k, and Manitoba is just south of 360. EEI is expected to bump up to over 409 grand, Nova Scotia rising to nearly 465. Alberta's average is expected to go over 480 grand, Quebec's up to over 527. Ontario's average is expected to go well over 900k, and the average home price in BC is expected to be just south of 1.
Okay, guys. So this gentleman made a interesting TikTok. So the prices in Canada for a home have gotten really out of hand in the past few years, and there's a lot of people waiting for the market to dip and for interest rates to go back down again and stuff to buy. And it's just I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but even if there is, like, there's been a market correction, I'm going to say 10 or 15% over the past couple years. But I've noticed where in my area in Ontario now, everything is just, it's stopped and it's holding at those prices where this gentleman has posted. So it went down a little bit. Even some markets are starting to tick back up again, even while the interest rates are high. And there's a multitude of reasons for that. One, the cost to build is very expensive here. Just to sever a lot and put a well on it, you're looking at $20,000, and that's if you own the land initially. And then you have your imposed fees and everything else on top of that, land transfer tax. I don't believe you guys in the U.S. probably have that. It's kind of bull. But anyways, so the prices, I don't think they're going to go down substantially unless the economy actually does just crash out and everyone's broke and people start walking away from these houses. But I've noticed Canadians are resilient and they will stick with their house and they will pay for that if they absolutely can. So some interesting stuff here. Back in the olden days, 20 years ago, you could move out to the east coast of Canada, which is about a 15-20 hour drive from where I am, and prices were cheap. Now I've noticed Nova Scotia has gotten quite expensive. Honestly, I didn't realize it was actually that high now. So what you're seeing is people from Ontario, British Columbia, where it's most expensive. Like the average price here now is 900,000 for a house. Not in my particular area. It's in the high fives, I'm gonna say. People have been migrating out west, or not out west, but out east. So you know what happens when that happens. Everything goes up. But anyways, you can see why Canadians starting out, my kids, like when they go to buy a house, it's completely unaffordable. I don't I don't foresee how anyone on even on upper middle class incomes can afford $900,000 for a mortgage, plus the interest rates being at around between 5 and 6 right now, maybe high fours. So let's go to the next one, and we'll see some really alarming news.
I want to talk about Canada's long-standing poor record on productivity and convince you just how big of a problem it is. You know those signs that say, in an emergency, break the glass? Well, it's time to break the glass. Canada's labour productivity eked out a small gain at the end of last year, according to Stats Can. But that gain came after 6 straight quarters where productivity fell. Of course, the pandemic was a major disruptor for the economy. And during the pandemic, the resourcefulness and the ingenuity of Canadian businesses was put to full use. Companies adjusted their business models and their ways of working. And given how nimble our companies were, we thought productivity would improve coming out of the pandemic as firms found their footing and employees got trained back up. We did see that happen in the US, but it hasn't happened here in Canada. In fact, the level of productivity in Canada's business sector is more or less unchanged from where it was 7 years ago. Lots of people have been sounding the alarm, but it can be hard to feel a sense of urgency about an abstract concept like productivity. Most people, when they hear we need to improve productivity, think they're being told you have to work harder, work longer hours, take less time off. But that's not the case. That's not the message. Labor productivity measures how much an economy produces per hour of work.
Okay, guys, so I'm going to end that one there. So this lady is a representative from the Bank of Canada. This would be like the Federal Reserve in the United States. So what she is saying is that as a country, our productivity is down. Now, that doesn't mean people have to necessarily work harder. It just means we're not making as much money per hour of work as the US is. And that's per GDP, not hourly wages or anything like that. So it was 88% of the US's, and now we're down to 70%. So it's really not good. I think part of the reason is there was a shift years ago from commodities to more of a service-based economy, and I think that's really affected us now because of the price of goods and services. You know, when people can't afford to go to a restaurant, you know, that's going to take all that stuff down a notch. Like, people will not travel as much. They're not going to buy as much food. They're not going to eat out as much. There's a whole bunch of things. And obviously retail has changed totally since, the 1980s or whatever, the 1990s, because of Amazon and online shopping. So I think what Canada needs really is to get back to more of a commodity-based economy. So we have so much natural gas, oil, coal, forestry, water, like there's just even the minerals, like we have so much here, and there's so much we could do with that to help prop the economy up right now. Unfortunately, a lot of the regulations and provincial bickering between the provinces has stunted a lot of that. I know our oil and gas is up a little bit, but it could be a lot more. Canada does have the third largest oil reserves in the world. It's a little bit more expensive to get it out of the ground. I realize that, but something's going to have to give here, because people that are middle class have basically dropped under that threshold where there really isn't like a middle class. To me, middle class now would be like if both people made like 100,000 a year each, maybe, or something. That's what it feels like, anyways. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I've seen a lot of ups and downs in economies and what you can buy. It just, even though people seem they're making more money now, they definitely seem more poor. And that's my feeling on how stuff is. I don't know what you guys think about it. Any topics you guys would like me to go over, I would gladly like to do that. I also have a second channel that the wife and I do a little bit of metal detecting. We do a little buying and selling, and I've also been working on an old homestead that was built in 1850, my old family home, and we're trying to get that cleaned up as well. If you like that kind of stuff, check out that channel. This channel is going to strictly be for like news and updates and stuff like that, guys, and we'll just see where it goes with it. Any topics you want to hear, comment below, and I'll get to them. Cheers.